Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Tuesday, June the 3rd edition of our video devotionals. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope your Tuesday's going well. And we've got a beautiful day here in central North Carolina. It's the sun is shining and warming up, and as much as we needed the rain, we've definitely needed this sunshine and the warming of temperatures for sure. So we thank the Lord for both, of course, but we are thankful for the sunshine as it is coming our way at this present time. Well, we start a new book of the Bible, a very lengthy one. It's the book of Psalms. So if it is your custom to follow along in the Bible with us, then look at Psalm chapter 1. We're actually just going to look at verse number 1, a very familiar psalm indeed. It's interesting how it begins. It's the first psalm of all the 150. Is it maybe a foundation for the rest of it, perhaps? But at any rate, we're going to look at chapter 1, verse 1 here in just a moment. Otherwise, we appreciate all of you who watch these videos. You say, well, that's easy to say. I know that. But you know what? If people didn't listen, if it wasn't a help, then, of course, I know that there'd be no need to tune into these. And I appreciate you. And if indeed they are a help, then that's a blessing back to me, because that's the way it should be. We want to be helped, and that's important. So let's go ahead and jump into it, okay? Notice Psalm 1, verse 1. It says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful." Anytime you hear this, you read it yourself, it's easy to kind of look at that and go, it's such a simple, I guess perhaps outline, such a simple way of saying things. But I may have said this before like I'm going to say it, but I'm going to, maybe it just kind of seems maybe a little bit different to me, I suppose, but maybe this will be a help to you. We live in a day and age in which you can really gather a lot of information very quickly. Before I went on this, to doing this video here, of course, I was reading my Bible, but I had looked on Facebook, social media, okay, and something caught my attention. Sometimes I look at it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I know it's going to be a waste of my time. Sometimes I say, I know where this is headed, and I'm going to get I'll camp out on that thing. But it's talking about a preacher and his condemnation of other preachers of the past or something. And of course, there's people that can be very, just really tell you what they think and then some. And I saw that and I thought, okay, there you go. So obviously, when you have an opinion, usually it's because you've heard somebody else say something, or you're influenced by somebody. There's somebody that you kind of hang with, and maybe it's the particular church you go to, whatever it might be. We have all these influences. So when I look at this, I notice the first thing that's mentioned here, it says, the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. There is such a thing as hearing the advice or the opinion of somebody, maybe even second-handed. But it's not the type of thing where you necessarily would run to that person and use them as a constant guide or a constant source of information, or a constant source of maybe counsel or advice, okay? But you hear it. And the Bible's saying here, blessed is the man that walketh not. In other words, there's this walk where you may just walk by and hear something. It's like not only a literal walking by and picking up on something, like sometimes you pick up information. It's kind of like going down the highway like this, and you see billboards. You're just you're passing through, but you don't park your car and look up at a billboard and study it and think about its advertisement, think about what's it saying. You just you pick up these things. Sometimes you can just be walking through a store or going somewhere and people say things. Something casual is what I'm saying. So there's this walking not in the counsel of the ungodly. Then it says, nor standeth in the way of sinners. Now here's definitely where things change. And it's almost like there's this progression going on here. There's okay, you casually, and you pick up something, but you decide if it's the wrong crowd or something you shouldn't listen to, you just pass it by. And that's the counsel, that's their advice, that's their way of looking at things. And then it says there's a man that's blessed because he doesn't stand in the way of sinners. There's where he's not congregated, he's not stopped, he's not there in a more stationary position, because when you do that, you definitely are going to pick up on the things of people. And when it comes to the group that it's mentioned here, nor standeth in the way of sinners. These are people that their philosophies are not godly, and they're talking about things they shouldn't be talking about and all of that. Then notice what happens if you can't quickly get away from the counsel of the ungodly. And then notice if you decide to stand around with people, hang out, as they say. There's places that say no loitering, all right? Loitering with the ungodly, the sinners rather. And then notice what happens here, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Eventually, you're going to be somebody that if you find yourself just kind of picking up things along the way, but you kind of pick it up, and then you find yourself standing amongst the sinners. You definitely are there, and that influence is definitely going to be there. Then eventually you're going to find yourself sitting around with a scorn for the ones who are definitely the ones who are against God, against God's people, against the ways of God. And there you find yourself definitely the scorner, the critic of that which is good and right. So to help not become the one who's sitting and the one who's standing is be careful even by the casual contacts you get in this world, and just say, you know what, I'm not even going to do that. So social media is one of those. If you don't think you should click on it, then don't, okay? Because you never know what you're just going to casually pick up. Before you know it, you're going to be running those sites, listening to those people. Before you know it, you're going to be the one participating, and they're tearing down of things and tearing down of people, and that's just not good. And, of course, the alternative there is, and the great alternative, is the Word of God. Find yourself really enjoying that and being that it gets you advice and counsel and all of that, right? All right, so there you go. I hope you have a great day, safe day, healthy day, Lord willing. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be back in the book of Proverbs, and we appreciate you listening. Have a great day.